We start our exploration of Forestport where we begin most of our journeys, at the library.
As with other towns in the Mohawk Valley, the town of Forestport has its own library. It's not called the Forestport Library, it's called the Woodgate Free Library. And this library is truly free because they don't have any late fees. Of course, the reason for that, I'm told, is that nobody in Forestport is late bringing their books back.
Another key ingredient to a good road trip is the local historian.
Originally, Forestport started as part of the Remsen Borough patent and separated from Remsen in 1870 and became the town of Forestport at that time, celebrated its centennial in 1970. The main manufacturing at that time was logging, and the development of the logging industry required the name change from what was known as Punkyville, named after that pesky little insect in the spring, to Forestport. Became a port that transported logs from North Lake along the Black River, and also needed the development of a waterway, a canal system, to feed to the Erie Canal to move merchandise from the North Country into the Erie Canal system, and therefore the development of the Black River Feeder Canal. And that's how Forestport grew. It was a logging community and then went into a transport community of the products of the North Country.
Now that we know about their legitimate occupations, what about the conspiracy? We know our viewers love a good conspiracy.
There is a conspiracy theory, if actually a little more than a theory, that Michael Doyle, he's a local author, presented in his book Forestport Breaks. And Michael was a descendant of the owners of Hotel Doyle, which is now known as Scooters on Main Street and River Street in Forestport. And a lot of the people who constructed the canal project wanted their work to continue. So there were some explosions late at night and some other events occurred. And I believe even some arrests after the event, but it continued the canal building project a little longer than it was anticipated. And it was to generate more work for the people that were building the canal.
One of the most famous people here in the area lived in Forestport, and that was Bill Sears. He was a senator. Actually, he lived here in Woodgate, and it was Senator Sears who did much to contribute to the library, and he was one of its leading patrons.
I think I lost it going your way, so I cried. The winds of wind. It's alright, it makes you feel alright. Because we ain't got no other reason why we fight. But I'm looking back, it seemed alright.
If you're looking for the Times Square of Forestport, come to the intersection of O'Brien Road, North Lake Road, and Woodhull Road. It is one of the busiest places you'd ever want to find in the North Country. And it's a little country store, Bonnie's Country Store. You can find ammunition here, you can find souvenirs, fishing tackle. You can also find penny candy. Well, it's not actually penny candy. Inflation has taken over. It's 2 cents, but it is really a taste of the past to come in here.
If I could do it all again, oh Lord, you know just what I'd do. If I could have just one wish, take a trip back in a time machine.
For some people, when you mention Forestport, that will be synonymous with the Buffalo Head. The Buffalo Head is a restaurant that has been here since 1924. I've been coming, that's what, 80-some years? I've been coming here for probably 55 to 60 of those years, and I've always had a perfectly good meal. How did the Buffalo Head become the Buffalo Head? Well, believe it or not, there's a connection to East Utica because it was the Italians, when they were traveling up here to work on the railroad, that they apparently brought a buffalo head one time and nailed it to the front of the hotel, and it became the Buffalo Head. I suppose it could have become the Bison Head, but it didn't. It's the Buffalo Head.
From its early days as a logging community, the people of Forestport have always had a close relationship with the surrounding woodlands. Today we meet a young forestry student who is expressing his creative side.
I just started this fall through stuff I've heard of, little projects and just trying to experiment pretty much. I'm going to ESF out of Syracuse, studying forest health.
Okay, so you
And-
grew up in Forestport and you're out in the woods a lot?
Woodsy, yeah, I like to be outside and walk around, and if I find something neat, I like to experiment and see if I can make something out of it. Well, right now I'm working on this table you see behind me. It's gonna have a glass top on it. It's actually a root ball, a root stump that we dug out. Well, besides working with my father, like I'm working on a boat right now for my personal use to see if I can get into that. It's just fun. It's, you know, a little artsy, see if I can just test my fingers at it, see if I can do something different.